Try GoToMeeting free for 30 days. Visit gotomeeting.com/techpodcasts. Randall Bennett for TechVi.com, joined by our BFF, Brian Heater.
Stay in touch. See you next summer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out to the program, man.
Yeah. I just happened to be walking by this like desolated area of
we're in the
of
all
North
the way
Hall.
in the northeast corner of the hall, the opposite, like literally the opposite side of the convention center from CNET, and not a lot of people make it out to watch G4, Fox Business, or us.
It's like being in an airplane in here.
It is. So let's talk about the show. In addition to locations, let's actually talk about the show. So Steve Ballmer,
what's happening in said locations?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Steve Ballmer had a keynote where he showed off the HP Slate and a bunch of other things.
Yeah, mind-blowing.
Set a date for the Project Natal launch for holiday this year.
Yep.
What happened?
What happened?
We talked before, and Brian was kind of like, it was basically a disaster.
First of all, it was kind of literally a disaster because first of all, what happened is they lost power.
Ooh.
Did you hear about this?
No, I did not.
I've been in a bubble. Not quite a giant like blue screen of death in the background, but they literally like lost power on the monitors.
Are you sure Gizmodo wasn't like turning it off or something?
Or Steve Jobs was somewhere in
Steve Jobs was
Cupertino
like,
hitting
ha
a
ha
button.
ha, turtleneck.
It's weird the way he ends all his sentences the same way.
I know.
With an article of clothing.
Ha ha ha, weird sneakers. Anyway.
Yeah, I know, they literally like they lost power and they had to push the whole thing back by like they had to push the whole thing back by at least like 20 minutes, and Ballmer was actually going to be a special guest at the Sprint event that was happening.
Yeah.
So since everything was pushed back, at the end of the show, I can't remember the name of the guy. I'm kind of blanking, but
the guy in the purple?
No, not
a different guy.
A different guy in a different color was talking about. He was doing all the Xbox stuff, and then he's like, "All right, thanks for joining us," and the lights went down, and that was it. Usually, like the person who gives the keynote comes back out, right?
Out and is like, rally the troops.
But I think it was because everything was late. He like had actually left the building.
Wow.
He fled.
So lots of little glitches. How about the actual like content of the keynote, other than the production snafus?
So this is the third Microsoft keynote that I've covered.
The first one you probably saw was the Gates,
the final Gates one, and then the first two bombers. And they're usually entertaining experiences. It takes you have to wait like 3 hours to see
in line, right?
Yeah. Which is I guess fine if you're covering it, and then there's just a sort of like mad rush for everybody to go in. But we got a pretty close spot. But it was just really sort of lackluster.
Yeah.
There were no I know it's not the point, but there are no super special guests. Yeah. Like they had Slash one year. There was none of that.
So it's kind of a muted keynote.
Yeah, and the products, we all knew that this HP Slate was coming. The New York Times reported on it that morning, and we got confirmation from HP that it was going to be showing up. It wasn't a Microsoft product, so Ballmer, showed it.
Here's something that someone else is doing
for 2 seconds, because anything you didn't want to take the wind out of HP sales, so they didn't spend a lot of time talking about that. Project Natal, we've been hearing about since E3.
For years, or not for years, for years.
Literally for months. And they just gave a date. They didn't even come out on stage and do a demonstration.
Yeah. Well, maybe there's nothing new to show though. I mean, they've showed that.
There was nothing new to show, but
dodgeball thing a billion
I just
times.
want, I want some bells and whistles when especially
make it happen,
something like
Ballmer. You got like a gajillion
Step
dollars.
it up, buddy.
Make it happen.
He didn't even flip out. He didn't even scream at anybody. So I wanted my money back.
I'll have to make it happen,
or at least my time.
The other thing that we are talking about is the international hall, which is actually at the other side of our area.
There's two international sections. Everybody's coming out with netbooks. There's a cool Korean company whose name, of course, I don't remember.
It's Korean.
It's Korean, so there are little circles above the characters.
Circles.
Came out with, they've got a really cool, well, since we didn't see the Microsoft Courier at the keynote, this is probably the closest thing we're going to see. It's a little netbook with dual touchscreens, which is really cool. You flip it over, you turn it into netbook, and you can type on one of the touchscreens.
MSI has something similar. Did you see that? MSI.
I've heard tell of it, but I've been too busy.
We had a video of it earlier. But
so it was at the Intel keynote, right?
I think it's dual Windows 7. It's Windows 7 dual screen thing. So maybe that's kind of like a new trend. Everyone saw the Courier and was like,
Yeah.
we should do that as well.
Yeah. It's sort of, I think it's an interesting take on ebook readers, which is the other thing that we're seeing. Oh my God, there's so many ebook readers here. And
we had the guys from the Copia Ocean. Social. It was the social ebook reader.
Yeah, it's like the netbooks again. Everybody's got an ebook reader with some sort of
niche,
crazy little thing, but they're all pretty much the same. I went to one of the press events this morning from a it sounds really boring, but a Beijing high tech park. But a huge, they call it the Chinese Silicon Valley, but a company is coming out with their own ebook reader, and the cool thing there is that you can write on it.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is like the Plastic Logic.
We've seen some of those, like the Sony ebook reader that's out now, the Touch edition or whatever. You can write on that too. So it's kind of like more features being pushed into these ebook readers.
Yeah, and not to go too far down the rabbit hole, but I feel like it's probably something that's going to be pretty moot at this point because we're seeing all these slates. Yeah. The price is going to come down on those, and of course you can read a book on a slate.
It might be like, I enjoy the reading experience on these, like the ebook readers. I feel like the reading experience is better.
You recently learned how to read.
It's also
you like
true.
to show it off.
That's how I roll. No, and I have a Kindle because it reads for me. I don't actually have to like read every character.
Yeah.
So anyway, Brian, thanks for coming by.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me.
Brian Heater's PC Magazine. He has Gearlog, which is available at gearlog.com.
Yes, plug my podcast.
Also, PC Mag After Hours, which is a good one as well. PC Mag, how do you get to that?
Oh, that's really difficult.
Go to PC Mag, look for podcasts.
Yeah, we should really find a better landing page for it.
It's awesome, a short URL or something.
Right,
Anyway, Brian Heater, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks.
I'm Randall Bennett. See you next time. Later.